and welcome back to Bookish Theories. In today's video, I would like to talk about BTS's Life Goes On, focusing on a little breakdown and analysis of both the lyrics and the music video. Life Goes On is a song co-written by RM, Suga and J-Hope that is meant to offer healing and comfort to all the people affected by the current pandemic. Now, much like it was anticipated in the past few months, the title track conveys the core message of BTS's most honest and genuine album yet. The members were heavily involved in every aspect of the production process, and the video marks Jungkook's debut as a music video director. So the result of this effort is not only meant to show the most BTS-esque comeback to date, but also a version of BTS that was never seen before. You see, in contrast to their previous releases, this time around the members wanted to show their real and raw selves. As J-Hope pointed out in the press release, their goal was to go beyond their stage personas and show their normality of people in their 20s living their life like anybody else. But even if the overall concept is meant to be very fun and unfiltered, Jungkook also stated that their priority was to convey a sense of reality as well as the gravity behind it. They wanted this project to be comforting and reassuring, while also acknowledging the sadness and frustration that they feel like anybody else. And in order to accomplish this goal, the boys delivered a song that expresses both a sense of helplessness and a sense of hope for better days to come. As we'll see in a second, even if the video features some details that provide a sense of continuity with the boys' previous concepts and storylines, the core message of this comeback is very simple and straightforward. It is that despite the sadness, the loneliness, and the frustration that we feel right now, life goes on no matter what. As RM has pointed out in the press release, this is a song that originated from the very same sentiment that also inspired Dynamite. But even if both songs are meant to give us a sense of hope and endurance, Life Goes On is more authentic and sincere because their message of consolation and healing is expressed by acknowledging that this healing comes from a place of struggle. If Dynamite was a celebration of life and a song that encourages people to look at the bright side, Life Goes On is meant to tell you that you are entitled to feel sad and frustrated, that they feel the same way, but also that it's important to remember that one day we'll come back to normality. Now, as simple as it may sound, this message actually hides a very profound truth because, much like what they say in the lyrics, all of us are living in a moment in time where the world stopped without warning and there seems to be no end in sight. Even if the seasons are unaffected by this change and time goes by on its own, we as people have stopped moving. We're stuck in place and the streets are erased of footprints, but even if we're stuck at home and the weather doesn't affect us anymore, we're actually experiencing a different kind of storm because the rain that soaks us doesn't come from the outside world, but rather from the sadness that we feel in this world of pain. Even if at first glance the boys thought that running faster than this dark cloud would be enough to beat it, now they find themselves in a situation where rain has caught up with them and won't stop falling. But it's okay to feel overwhelmed by this situation because, after all, we're all human. All the sadness and frustration that we feel right now is understandable and justified. But the song also offers a silver lining in all of this because once the winter comes, this cold also pushes them to exhale a warmer breath. Now, this imagery is actually very interesting because the idea of us being the source of our own warmth is actually very reminiscent of Stay Gold, which was a song that encouraged people to stay gold in a world where they feel cold. Much like what we saw in that video, Life Goes On implies that we can fight this cold with the tools that we have. So even if we're still lying on the ground, we can try to feel better by pressing the rewind button. This means that, like in BTS's past concepts and storylines, the focus here is on finding a solution in another place and in another time. Even if we and the real BTS cannot time travel like Jin does in the story, one thing that we can do is to imagine another time. We can remember the happy past and run with them towards a better future. So even if in reality we're still lost in time, we can also find solace in the idea that the echo of change can already be heard in the forest. Now, this imagery is actually very powerful here because in the big hit multiverse, the forest is an archetype that often symbolizes the unconscious or the unknown. The forest is a place full of mystery that is scary and unfamiliar. So this imagery can easily be compared to the reality of the current pandemic because both scenarios imply a lot of fear and uncertainty. Even if right now we're still lost in the forest, BTS want to use this song as a medium of comfort and encouragement. And the third verse makes this very clear because in Suga's lines, it literally addresses the audience to tell us what their goal actually is. You see, through this song, the boys want to tell us that even if people think the world has changed, the same cannot be said for BTS and ARMY, because nothing has changed between them. So even if for now we're separated, J-Hope tells us not to hide in the shadows because only then the daylight will glow. These lines here basically imply that BTS and ARMY are each other's light. You take strength from them and they take strength from you. And the pandemic cannot destroy this connection because as long as we remember that life goes on, this hopeful thought will keep us warm until we are finally reunited. Now, when it comes to the music video, Jungkook managed to express the core message of the song by portraying the members in 4 different scenarios, 3 of which were actually discussed in the vlogs that anticipated the comeback, while the 4th one being completely new. Much like V and JK discussed in their live, the main idea for the video revolved around 3 main settings. The first showing BTS stuck at home, living their everyday life and unable to get out. The second portraying them outdoors to signify the things that they lost because of the pandemic. While the third showing the boys performing in a concert without an audience, which is a scene that the boys actually shot during the Map of the Soul 1 concert. Now, all these scenarios here perfectly convey the reality of them being separated from ARMY, as well as the contrast between the past that they took for granted and the present that they're still getting used to. But the most surprising scenario of them all is actually the one in the car, where we see Taehyung driving around Seoul and the rest of the members in the passenger seats. Now, much like the rest of the video, this scene is actually seen from the perspective of Jin, who is the unofficial protagonist of the video and through which we experience the changes that this pandemic has caused. You see, even if the screen time is divided pretty much equally among the members, Jin's perspective actually provides us with a deeper understanding of their longing for ARMY. Because if on the one hand, Jin's role conveys their desire to come back to a time where they were surrounded by ARMY, on the other, the video uses his perspective to show us Taehyung's reaction when he sees the Olympic Stadium, which is the place where BTS actually held their very last concert before the pandemic began. Now, this artistic choice is actually very important because even if this comeback is focused on the real BTS and their real experiences, the focus on Jin provides a sense of continuity that bridges the gap between their storyline and their future releases, which is an idea that incidentally is also conveyed in the scene of the car, where we see the boys driving somewhere without ever discovering their destination. Now, this scene here actually foreshadows the idea that even if right now both us and BTS are stuck in place, the boys are still together and their journey through life continues. So even if we might look at the past with longing and even if our present is a bit sad, it's important to remember that life goes on and that our journey is far from over. So that's it from me today. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, please think about liking and subscribing. As always, thank you so much for watching, guys. I'll see you next time. Bye bye!